It really saddens me how Yubaba is misunderstood by the public. Audiences basically judge characters by their lines. From the dialogue they decide who is good or bad. So they end up thinking Yubaba is nasty and cruel, while her sister Zeniba, the one Chihiro takes the train to visit, is kind. Sure, if you go by dialogue alone, it looks like Yubaba is awful and Zeniba is the good one. And because Chihiro hugs her saying, "Thank you, Grandma," viewers assume Zeniba is kind. No way, Zeniba is 100 times scarier. I will get into that next week. As for what Yubaba really is, she is a witch, in other words, originally human. Her huge face and turning into a bird are just magic. She runs the Aburaya, the bathhouse, employing many underlings, frogs, slugs, and women among them. People even say the Aburaya that Yubaba runs is a white company, basically a model employer. On Twitter, now X, she is praised as a witch with real managerial talent, who gives work to anyone willing, treats rookies without favoritism, praises achievements, and as a boss personally drives off unreasonable customers. Laughs. That line about personally repelling unreasonable customers refers to this scene. The storyboard even has Dragon Ball written on it. It is the scene where Yubaba fires a Kamehameha at No-Face. This is the playful side of Spirited Away. There are actually quite a few gag moments like this around Yubaba. For example, she launches a Kamehameha, it has no effect, and No-Face splashes her with mud until she is covered played as a gag. But audiences do not laugh much. Framed like horror, she reads as frightening, so there is not much room to find it funny. As Isao Takahata sniped, compared with the castle of Cagliostro Spirited Away is full of motion, but not a single viewer laughed. So there really are gags like this, delivered while she barks the famous line, "I will not even forgive a customer." I quite like that line, laughs. There is also the idea that the live-in setup is fully arranged, uniforms and spare clothes are provided, meals included, justified time off is fine, and starting work just means flipping the sign. No rule to clock in minutes early like a time card, you are not scolded for stepping out briefly while on duty, and employee initiative is approved. It is depicted as a thoroughly white, worker-friendly shop. What is interesting is that a section was cut for runtime. In the scene where Kamaji and Chihiro do the Ingacho cut, there was originally quite a long set of lines. These were dropped from the film but remain in the storyboard. Kamaji. This seal is terrifying. The witch's slave seal. Chihiro. I already thought I was a slave. I figured everyone here was being forced into slave labor. Kamaji. HMPH. We are bona fide workers. We chose to work here ourselves. We are free to stay in the bathhouse or leave it. We keep our real names secret from the In short, they are actually on free contracts. It is a shame this dialogue was cut. So Yubaba does not rule everyone by force. She keeps them on free contracts. That is Yubaba's virtue, a prideful credo of, "This is how I must be." But even Yubaba has a flaw. She comes to love people too much. She is so warm-hearted that she cannot let go of what she loves. Take Bo, the giant baby. That one is obvious. She dotes on him. But she actually likes Haku and Chihiro as well. Her lines sound harsh, yet she favors them. So when she learns near the end that Chihiro went to see Zeniba, she flies into a rage. What? Feed me Chihiro's parents, those pigs. Have them eaten right now. Basically, her attachment runs so deep that if someone she likes leaves her, she cannot forgive it. At the same time, when Haku is injured, she says, "He is useless now. Throw him out and be done with it." In other words, she grows fond because someone is useful or has benefited her. So if that person stops being useful or goes away, she swings to extremes, resenting them or treating them as disposable. Yubaba, in that sense, is intensely human. She may look villainous, but she is hard to hate. As for the frogs and women working at the Aburaya, what were they originally? There is a contradiction. One setup says frogs or slugs became human, while another says they are all human, who, if they cannot work for Yubaba, turn into frogs or slugs. Even Hayao Miyazaki gives different answers when animators ask, so there is no officially unified setting. One thing we can say is that Yubaba uses frogs and slugs. In old Japan, frogs and slugs were lumped under one label in folk taxonomy. Classical Japanese natural history, Hanzogaku, Japanese Materia Medica, divides life into humans, beasts, birds, and fish, and calls everything else mushi bugs. So snakes counted as bugs too. That is why the pit viper mamushi has mushi in the name. Lizards, spiders, insects, all small animals outside humans, beasts, birds, and fish. Yubaba is someone who cherishes mushi, a princess who loves bugs. In other words, she is like Nausicaa. And while being Nausicaa-like, she treats her companions as equals and values contracts. So in that sense, she is also Lady Eboshi. She is Lady Eboshi from Princess Mononoke. After sliding into tyranny, she may have started Nausicaa-like, but fighting those around her led her to impose rules and force the staff to. That worked as long as she stayed fair to everyone, back when she was young. But with age, the passion she once held in check ran loose, and she turned into a tyrant. Yubaba is that tyrannized version of Lady Eboshi. I imagine that in her younger days, Yubaba judged more soundly and was more compassionate. Now she is captive to the people she loves and to the treasure she has grown attached to. The humanity she once had has faded, and she is feared and disliked. She is the future form of Mamadola, and probably also Toshio Suzuki, as seen by Hayao Miyazaki, perhaps even Miyazaki himself. Both men are known for doting on favorites to the hilt and treating those who leave them very coldly. "14 Mysteries of Reading, Spirited Away, the Mystery of Yubaba, as I am calling it." Miyazaki's heroines start, in childhood, as very good girls like Shida. Then they become like Nausicaa, gaining inner passion, and later grow into leaders like Lady Eboshi. After that, desire shows through in figures like Mamadula, and finally, they become like Yubaba, where inner desire and affection spin out of control. That is Miyazaki's heroine archetype, a single cycle. Watching the films, we tend to freeze them at the early stage. Shida will always be Shida, Clarice will always be Clarice. But Miyazaki says his characters keep growing within him, they age. He often says, even Satsuki and Mei from My Neighbor Totoro are, in my mind, already women past 30. I find this steady evolution of his characters fascinating. Yubaba has a strong sense of justice, looks after people, and keeps her promises. But if she starts loving those around her too much, loses trust, and fears being alone, she slides into tyranny. That is how I see Miyazaki's evolution theory of his heroines.